Good morning, everybody. According to the church bells outside, it's now 10 o'clock, and we are just about getting ready to start the webinar about master data management. I can see people are still joining, so let's just give the last attendees a minute or two before we start the session. People are still joining as we speak, so that's good. And that was just one more, so it's 2 minutes past. So let's get started. Welcome very much to the webinar about master data management. There's been a lot of interest about master data management, lots of good dialogues, and lots of attendees to this webinar. So we look very much forward to the next 45 minutes we have planned that it will be. If there are lots of questions, it might be prolonged. Should you not be able to watch the whole thing, this session will be recorded, and it can always be seen as our website afterwards in a couple of days, I believe it will be. A few practical details. If you have any questions or wish to participate in any other way to the chat, you can see that on your screen on the right hand side, questions and chat, and then please feel free to come with input or questions during the session. Otherwise, there's also a Q&A in the end. So let's get started. Here we go. With me today I have Aiden King from Profisee, and I guess, Aiden, if you could present yourself, and I'll do the same before we continue.
Yeah, so my name is Aiden King. I work for Profisee, and I manage the partner network in Northern Europe. So I work with companies like Innofactor to bring our message and our product to the market. I suppose I'm the jack of all trades, assisting wherever possible in that. Thanks, Benny.
Welcome. Yeah, and myself, Benny Lose, as you can see, and I'm working with Innofactor. And within the area that we call data-driven business, it includes obviously lots about data, traditional disciplines of data warehouse and business intelligence, IoT, advanced analytics, but definitely also master data management, which we are working more and more with. It's an area that we are definitely increasing across the Nordic countries and seeing more and more interest in. I've been working with this area since 2001, and before that I was working with SAP and ERP implementations. In short, today we will make a short introduction of the two companies, Innofactor and Profisee, and why we believe that we have such an excellent partnership. Then we will talk a bit about what master data management is and also what it is not. We will give our view on it and then take a few external analysts' view on it as well. Then we have a demo, a couple of scenarios that Aiden made up to show something about the functionality and the processes of Profisee. And in the end, we have a Q&A session. But if you have any questions or anything you want to add during the sessions, please feel free. We'll try to include it, but well, if you cannot guarantee, we will take it everything as it comes, maybe in the exact second, but try to put it in when it suits best possible. Very quickly about Innofactor, for those of you who does not know us, we are a Nordic consultancy house across the 4 Nordic countries. We are around 600 people in the 4 countries. We are what we call a Microsoft powerhouse, meaning that basically everything we do is built on the Microsoft platform, either on premise or in Azure. We have a number of partners, partners like Profisee in areas where Microsoft is not focusing or where they don't have any specific solution, and master data is definitely, as we see, one of them where Microsoft has something but need in this case a strong enforcement within master data. We are listed in the Nasdaq stock exchange in Helsinki, and working across a number of sectors and have many Nordic big customers. I think that was about it. In Denmark, where I am working and where I'm located in Copenhagen, we have 3 main areas besides the data-driven business. Secure cloud platform, talking about everything about Azure and infrastructure and governance, securing an efficient and secure cloud platform. Modern employee experience and productivity, everything about the Office 365 areas, EMS security, but also workflow, quality management, etc. We have a number of very interesting solutions on the Power Platform that we also are working a lot with. But today we will be talking about the data-driven business and more specific about the master data management. So let's get started with that. And I think actually presenting Profisee, it's a good story. We have been working with master data for many years within the data-driven business. We were looking for, we were working with MDS on the SQL Server master data services, but we were lacking more and more as our customers became more and more requiring, more and more demanding in the way of handling master data. We looked around and see which kind of partners could we use being a Microsoft partner, and we found Profisee, and it actually turned out there was a good story around that, as Profisee was actually back in 2003, 2004 was bought by Microsoft, and what they have developed at that time actually became master data services, which were including on the SQL Server 2008.
And if anyone has, sorry, Benny, if anyone has used MDS, master data services, in the past, don't blame us for that. That's it's a nice starter product, but it does lack the enterprise grade that it was originally designed for. And this backs up your story of the focus from Microsoft.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point, Aidan. It's and basically, well, like I normally say it's about so when the people of Profisee, who were genuine, true master data people, they saw that Microsoft did not have the ambitions, at least as Profisee did within master data. They actually left Microsoft again, and since 2007-8 have been working as an independent company, focusing only on master data, but still operating on the Microsoft platform. So it's still built on top of the Microsoft platform, and until last summer with version 7, it's actually built upon MDS, but now working independently of that. Isn't that true, Aidan?
The big reason for that departure from MDS was it was a limiting factor, and also without MDS, it eases our path to the cloud, to become native cloud as well. So you will find that Profisee is available as a PaaS platform now, as opposed to just a simple IaaS lift and shift type scenario. If you're dependent on MDS, you will have that you will have that problem. Yeah.
I will get back to that a bit about the difference between MDS and Profisee a bit later, but for now that's fine. Of course, no presentation of solutions without Gartner, or at least not in this case, where the Profisee is presented very nicely. It's worth mentioning that this is only the second year that the Profisee has been in the Gartner Magic Quadrant, and as it says here on the right hand side, in 17 where they entered, there was the highest placement for a first time vendor, And basically from 2017 to 18, Profisee was the only vendor who really moved up. They move up from the left-hand corner to the left upper corner. And we see that as a very strong competitor in a strong field. And it's I think, yeah.
And of course, with these Gartner quadrants, you always look at them as a snapshot in time of your position at that time. It is the journey that you're on throughout. So that's a perfect story to say landed as a high new entry, and we're the only ones to make a positive move. That is to the right and upward in 2017 of the existing vendors. So it's perfect story.
Yeah, and this is just a figure, but actually, the report itself is actually also pretty good. It's quite detailed, so you can read more about it there if you have access to the report.
You can grab access to that report from the Profisee website. So if you Google Profisee, you'll be able to get access to the report as well for free.
That's true. Good point. Okay. So basically, what is in short the Profisee platform doing? There's a number of modules depending on the requirement and need of the customer. But in the center, you have Profisee, the core of Profisee, where everything is built upon, and then around it you have each of the modules, starting with on the right hand upper corner, the golden record management, the fuzzy logic, making it possible to reach that one golden record. We will get back to that in a little bit. The integration, you can use Profisee in your architecture. You can use a third-party integration tool, but you can also use the Profisee integrator. The workflow, we will get back to that in a little bit as well. But whenever something is triggered, an event is happening, you need some kind of a workflow to distribute and synchronize the data across the various applications. If you want to make some kind of custom application, the software developer kit will help you doing that. You will embed the Profisee functionality in your own ERP system or any kind of other applications. You can do that. Event management, also as something specific happened around in your organization in a specific application, a field or an application is being updated, it is automatically, or you can configure the event management module to take care of that depending on your business rules. And then, of course, the stewardship and the governance. There's no master data management without stewardship and governance. So here the processes and the facilitation of the processes need to handle your master data workflow. Aidan, you have anything to add to this?
The demo we do today is going to focus in on the golden record management, a little bit on workflow, and on the stewardship and governance. It's going to kind of focus on those. I don't think many people want to see me writing code or integrating between systems and watching progress bars. So we'll do the
not today at least.
Yeah. Okay.
Good. I will continue so we can get to the solution. A bit about master data as a discipline. Sorry, I was a bit too quick here. What I find this interesting from BARC, which was from last year, that this is the first time ever that master data and data quality management has reached the top of the priority within BI. So data governance, as I say, there's number 4, and master data quality management is definitely increasing in importance and getting more and more priority. And we definitely see that as a strong interest among our customers and in general in the market to talk about master data in many different companies. And sorry, clicking down. Here we go. And as I mentioned before, there is a difference between the function and the scope of MDS, as we spoke about before, and Profisee. And then that's why it's important that you differentiate between two different kind of master data management. On the left hand side, you see what's called analytical master data management, and that's basically as like the context of data warehousing. So improving the data quality, improving the quality of the data in the reports. It stays, the data quality, the improvement of the data quality stays within the data warehouse context in general. But and on the right hand side, you have like the master data hub. So when data is improved or changed, modified in any kind of application, and you need to distribute it to other applications, that's being taken care of the master data hub, in this case, Profisee. So at least for me, I think this was an eye-opener for me. It's two different worlds, two different contexts, and also two different tools, where MDS is solving more or less what it should on the left-hand side, but on the right-hand side with the master data hub, there you need a tool like Profisee. So basically you have the hub, and then you have, sorry?
Yeah, and the green bubble on the bottom right there, the data warehouse BI, the entire of the left-hand side of that image is represented by just that green bubble on the bottom right. So you're actually covering, by doing operational, you're taking care of analytical as well. MDM.
True.
It's very much catch-all on operational. But MDS, as you said, was a very good tool for doing that analytical MDM. But companies' demands and the market trends have demanded that we move more towards an operational MDM. Luckily for Profisee, we are and were ahead of the curve.
True.
Ahead of the curve, all of this. Okay.
Yeah, cool. I have a little bit of a challenge with my PC. Here we go. Here we go. And just another quote from Master Data, which I like, basically saying that, you know, within MDM, it's just started. It's a pretty immature market. It's been there for many years, but as Gartner said, only 10% of the organization who should be working with master data are working with it. That was back in 2017. I realized that, but we see the result of that now. More and more companies are, besides the analytical MDM, are also focusing now on operational MDM and want to do something specific about it. Gartner, they also have a pretty long and very detailed, very correct definition of master data. You can see it here, but you can also see it on their website. But I actually do like the definition of one of our customers, Ambu, because when they started the journey on master data, they were discussing with themselves and trying to define what master data is and what it is not. Because as Aidan normally says, you don't want to boil the ocean. So if you define master data, it could be everything. But it's important that you start by saying, what is it for us and what is it not? So in this case, Ambu is saying that for them, master data is connected to data which support critical business processes across Ambu. And in this case, where it multiple users and many different systems. So specific, very important data, but only used by a specific department or specific application, that is not considered master data. At least when you start, try to not start with everything, and as Aidan said, boil the ocean.
Yeah, and that's one of the big problems that we see at a lot of projects is people spend so much time planning the big project, they never get into the detail of actually executing some of the solution. And once you start putting a technology platform around what processes you set up, it becomes clearer what you need in the future. And I believe if we went back to Ambu, this wouldn't have been their statement at the start. This evolved as their statement throughout. So like master data management itself, it's an evolution throughout time, just like the statement was for Ambu.
Yeah. Great. And basically, master data is it could be is in many organizations that many people that we talk to. It is a challenge sometimes to make master data relevant and critical for the business, because master data is not very sexy. So why should we pay for it? Where's the business case? So basically, in this case, this is also an Ambu slide, and we have been allowed to use it, just to say good order. And they have simply managed to make master data a cornerstone of their high ambitions with respect to growth and new business areas, new product areas. They have extremely high ambitions of growing and developing their business. And in this case, the people working with master data said, yes, we can do that. But in this case, we need to work seriously with master data. So in this case, they have simply managed to make the management, the business of Ambu, to understand if you want to do all these kind of very ambitious things, you need a proper process for master data. So in each company that you're working in, it is critical. We need to understand and define why is master data critical for your business. And once we get that defined, normally it's not a problem to get access to budget and priority, but it's different from company to company. And the next slide is, sorry about that. So basically, I think this next slide is basically showing very well why master data is so difficult. In this case, we have many different locations. We have some data on premise. We have some data in the sky, some data in the cloud. And which master data is correct, and what should we do in order to coordinate it? And then obviously you have this very nice slide, if I can make it work right there, where master data management is nicely put in the middle with all the relevant applications around it, subscribing to that one version of the truth created by the master data management solution. So I do have problems here with my mouse. Oh. Basically, in this case here, there's in the CRM system, there are a number of entries for one specific customer. We're trying building it again, making one version of the truth from the CRM system. We're doing the same from the ERP, where you have different information about the customer, putting it all together and putting it nicely into the master data management solution. Supply chain management, in this case, another example, having other information, other types of data, adding it into the master data management solution, making it another part of the puzzle. And finally, as also we mentioned before, the data warehouse. In this case, they have many different entries about the same specific customers, combining all the data, making one puzzle. This is called also golden record management. Many different records about the same customers, combining it into one puzzle, being the one version of the truth, in this case for a customer data. So this is basically, yeah.
Sorry, just on that, just as you're creating that puzzle, you see the pieces of data that we're pulling together to make up this single view of Deborah Barchi here in Cree Carrier Corp. As we're doing that, like the statement, like our data management philosophy, your definition of who Deborah Barchi is and what Cree Carrier Corp is as a company will evolve over time. So the attributes that you start with, maybe you start with 20 or 30, but as time goes on, you may add in this supply chain management system there on the top right and get multiple address values. But at the start, you might attempt to just use one, but things will evolve. So the idea here is that we're flexible enough that when we're correcting and unifying all of this data, that we meet the demands of the business as we go through that. That's all, Benny.
Yeah, true. So basically, what is master data? Here is lots of example of master data domain, what it could be. The most typical are customers and products and vendors, but it could also be all kinds of assets. all kind of like here stores, facilities, all kind of financial areas as well. But it is definitely customers and products where most companies have started. But we also had a recent good example of reference data, Aiden. Maybe you can elaborate a bit about that.
Yeah, beneath every project we do, reference data crops up. So I think the most typical example that I come across in most projects is when companies try to use a list of countries or a list of counties as a sales territory. And over time, that deviates from being a list of countries to something that's unique around the business. And it's getting harder and harder to manage something that's perceived to be simple, like a list of countries and a list of sales territories, but they're actually two different entities, two different business objects that we need to manage. And the moment we have reference data in there, we have to start putting the governance around it, making sure that it can't be changed by everyone, that when it is changed, that we have workflows to get it approved, and we've notifications to tell people it's changed, so that the BI team know what's happening at board level. So when the board decide to change a sales territory, that it's reflected in your BI reports for the next quarter, next month on that. And they're time bound. Something like that may need to be time bound as well, so that we know when things change over from one territory to another. So there's a whole scope of an area that needs to be discovered and worked on within a project as well, depending on the company.
Yeah. And one important thing about this slide as well was mentioned on the bottom, multi-domain. What we were looking for when we were looking for the right partner for us was this multi-domain. It's many master data companies, they started typical with customers and products and doing very well with these domains. So they were also being tailor-made for one of the areas. But in the case of Profisee, it started as a master data and multi-domain, so not specifically for one domain or the other, but a general master data tool handling all kind of master data. So I think that's an important message as well.
And we at Profisee don't see you as a successful customer until you've done at least 3 domains on that as well. So we want to encourage you to do more and more with that.
Yeah.
Okay. I think I've seen Mike slide up next.
Yeah. I will just make you the presenter then.
Okay. Did you? Okay.
Change presenter. Here we go. You should have the screen now, Aiden. Yep.
Yeah. You can see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So for today, I just wanted to set up a simple little demonstration, but I always like to have a business case around it. So for this scenario, I've said a company has recently acquired another, done a recent acquisition, and it's led to having multiple CRMs and multiple ERP systems. Each system holds pieces of information about their customers along with multiple entries of the same customer. So like our Deb Varchi story that Benny had spoke about earlier. And the problems that we see out of that are that the company is struggling to populate a single instance of their CRM. They're trying to move towards maybe a Dynamics 365 or Salesforce on that. There's at the analytical side of the business, they're struggling to profile their customer base to find out who's the biggest customer, what do they actually spend with us with some accuracy. They're struggling then to know what products to cross-sell, upsell to the new customer base. They're struggling to align sales territories because one company uses countries, the other use counties, and they have to try and align those. And they're struggling to govern the changes. So today, I'm going to jump through a quick demonstration that kind of shows from a data manager's point of view, the modeling and data quality, integration, import of data, a little bit on golden record management, and we'll do 5 minutes then on data stewardship and governance as well on the other side. So we'll see a few bits and pieces on it. Now, first thing, I'm sitting here as a data manager. So this is somebody who is IT literate, but not necessarily a programmer, but has got knowledge of the data flows and the data within the business. So there's that hybrid role. Often a business analyst would fill a role like this. So what I want to be able to do here is I want to be able to model and set up the relationships in my data. I do that using my entities and hierarchies. When I want to get a single view of something, I use my matching and matching results here. And of course, no role would be complete without being able to do my audit trail and see who's changed what, where, when, and how. And then my data quality validation issues that I can set up as well. So let's jump straight into a model that I've built before. And rather than reference data, I'm going to jump to my customer data. And I think most people would have seen GDPR as an issue. If you're here for data management, you would have seen GDPR as an issue in the last 2 to 3 years. So I'm going to use my GDPR model. All my models are versioned as well. So these versions can be either my own time shots that I have as well, or they can be automatically done based on changes. And I'm going to focus in on my customer in here as well on that. So business object or entity called customer. If I open that up, I can see I've got a view here that should remind people of Excel, because I've got columns that have headers and descriptions on them, and I've got rows of data here as well. Those columns I will call attributes from now on, and these attributes have different types in it. They can be text, number, they can be pick lists, or I call them pick lists, or reference data. Here is a list of source systems. It could be something as simple as a flag, no flags in here, or it could be countries, any of those. So those attributes, and of course, I can filter on those as well. So if I click on the filter button here, I can sort and filter on these as well, and I can see exactly what I want in there. But what I'm going to focus on is, on my names here and codes. I'm going to filter on code. So the one I want to actually look at here is the first column, where I can see a green tick and a red exclamation mark on it. So the red exclamation mark tells me there's something wrong with this row of data. And you can see here, I've got 2 records about this person, Anthony Lewis. One comes from my credit control bureau, and one comes from my SAP asset register. And both are about Anthony Lewis here. One is good, one is bad. If I right click on one of those records, I get this context sensitive menu where I can do all the Excel type things like copy and paste, but I can do some more data management ones like clone, add members. But I want to open these 2 members here instead and have a kind of look at them myself. The one on the left, you can see here, my Anthony Lewis. It will have a red header here on it, and it's got a specific field with an exclamation mark on it, which tells me that the phone number is the problem field here. I need a phone number for working on it. Now, as a data manager, I can right click here and go copy and paste. Right click, copy, copy to others, copy left, copy right. But I may not necessarily want to do that, because I'd like some independent validation on what Anthony Lewis's phone number is here, so that when I feed it into my matching engine in a few minutes, that I will be able to get a better validation. If I come back with a different phone number, I will reduce the importance of the connection between these 2 records, or I can expand it if I get a perfect match. So I've kind of got a job to do here. So I could either copy it, or I could kick off a workflow based on this failing rule. I could kick off a workflow and give somebody who owns this record in the SAP to go and find out what the phone number is. It might be sending an email to Anthony via their email address, or it could be actually just looking them up in another system or whatever that is. But they need to go and find it for me. start of my data quality, and that's how it starts to represent itself, is just by those exclamation marks and red fields as I have them in there. Now, those data quality rules that I have there can be something as simple as a field is required, or it could be anything as complex as pattern matching, or it could call a block of code or a stored procedure on the back of this as well. So it's infinitely expandable on the other side, but it can start extremely simple as well, because the rules I set up generally are all click and configure. And that click and configure is something we stitch throughout the entire platform. So everything you see today is configuration. There's no coding going in behind any of this. Well, the coding is done by the software developers in our platform, not by you as the customer on it. But as we improve the quality of this data here about my records, I'll start to find that I do have similar records, and I want to know whether I should pair these two Anthony Lewis's off together or not. And how I do that, if I return back to my home screen and go to my matching results here instead, I will be able to jump into my GDPR customer strategy. So this is a matching strategy that I created. And this matching strategy, let me refresh the results, has yielded this set of results where I fed in 337 records. I auto-approved 284. So like my Anthony Lewis's there, where I had the same email address, the same name, the same address about them, I said, yeah, let's auto-approve those, and we created a group of those records together. I had 37 unique members on that. 37 unique members. They bear no similarity to anyone else. But the ones I'm more interested in are these proposed matches. So these are matches that I think, they look like they could be a match, but they're in that little amber zone in between unique and auto-approved, where I'd like a set of eyes, somebody to actually read over them, because even though there's a high probability they're a match, I can't be ultimately sure on it. And if I click into those here, I can see on the top here, I've got my 14 matches in here. And maybe if I select one of them here, like Patrick Evans, in under Patrick Evans, you can see this group at the bottom has changed. I've got one proposed record with 2 auto-approved. So I Pat Evans in here twice, and then I was matching Patrick to it straight away. And in here, I got very good high scores of 95+% on the Pat Evanses. But for my Patrick Evans, I was only getting an 86% match score on that. How I got that score, if I right click, I can see the match details in here. I can see, Pat Evans and Patrick Evans give me a 71% match. My postcodes, and this is important as well, some fields aren't filled out correctly all the time, like postcodes. It can often be left out. I've said ignore it if it's a blank, give me a 0, but if there was a value in here, I would get a score against it. And then I've got the address, which is 9 Regency Close between the two, and I got 12 Regency Close. So maybe he's moved down the road, but I've got the same email address on that. So when I add up those similarity scores between those, I've got an 86.16% match between the two on this. Now, I have to decide, as a user, I have to decide whether this is a match or not. But those scores are quite convincing. So let's look at some other records in there, and I go, okay, I don't have an email, a date of birth from, but I do have a different address, and I have the same email. What I actually think is happening here is this is a father and son that live 2 or 3 doors down from each other on that, more than likely. So I would actually reject this as a match, or I could create a new match group on it here as well. And that match group allows me to match any more records I get around Patrick Evans into that match group, as opposed to Pat, the son. Maybe it's a father and son. So I've got a group called Pat Evans and Patrick Evans. So when new records come in, Patrick Evans will match into this group 125, and the Pats will match into into 75 on that. There's an entire spate of scenarios that we could talk about in this on the other side as well, but that's just one quick and easy one as well. Now, as I said, I was working as a data manager when I looked at that. If I want to jump over and I want to get the business involved a bit more on this, I would use my web portal that I have. This, yet again, is click and configure to get all of this matched up as well. And in here, I got multiple different applications in here about my data. And I have my GDPR management in here. If I click in, first thing I can see when I open up my GDPR management in here is I've got a little bit of BI happening. So a few little KPIs around my my data. So this is the start of data governance happening throughout the application, where we tell people about the importance of data quality. We tell them, in this case, we've got just statuses, types, and a timeline of records that we had in here, of requests that we have about GDPR. But as a data steward, I'm now somebody in the business, I want to know what to do. One, I could go into here and manage customers in here myself. I could click on that manage customers and see, here's a list of all of my master customers. So my Pat and Patrick Evans will be in here somewhere in that. I can click on one of them, like my Angela here, and open Angela. And I can see all of the details in behind Angela in here, including her address, her contact information, personal information, some system records in here. I can do a registry map of this master record relates to my CRM through this key, my credit control through this key, JDE through this, and SAP. So I get all of that data here. So somebody from BI or from integration services would actually be able to come in here and know what keys should match up and what fields to get all of this. So it's just presenting that data back out to them. But if I've got a more specific case that I wanted somebody to work on, I can actually send them workflow tasks, and that appears in my work tab here on it. So if I click on work here, I can see I've got a list of contribute tasks that I have to do. And in under my contribute task, if I open this one, I can see here I've got Catherine Winter in here, and I have to decide, I have to edit the GDPR request. So let's go into the request status in here. So Catherine is requesting an amendment to a record. It relates back to master record 121, Catherine Winter, and I've got some other data in here, and I'm see, it's waiting on a review, and it's assigned to Pete Constain. So I must get on to Pete to do something here in this scenario. But you can see this is the metadata around a request, around the data that I need to be able to manage closely to my data as well. Now, I know that's quite quick in there, and maybe I want to update the Catherine Winter record as well, and I can jump in here and see Catherine and update her master record if I've got the permissions to do such a thing. And you can see here I've only got view permissions on the data around Catherine. I don't actually have edit permissions on it. So that's all done by Active Directory single sign-on as well. So that's all integrated perfectly into this. Last thing I want to show is the analytics. And in here, under analytics, I can create my own dashboards and see all my reports. But the product comes with a set of maybe 80 or 90 reports that I can that it ships with. These are not designed to replace your Power BI or your ClickView. These are designed to give your data manager and governor a head start in getting control on data quality and data governance. These can be adapted and edited as you want throughout the project. So you can adapt them to your own needs and edit them through all of this UI here and present them out as we want, as little snippets of information embedded into those applications we've seen earlier as well. Now, I've done the quick tour and we've come up on time, but I do believe, Benny, we have an extra couple of minutes for some Q&A on this.
Yeah, sure do. Sure do. And while I saw your demo, I remember one thing that actually there was a question about Ambu, which I just replied in the question field. That Ambu is a Danish medical company doing extremely well for the last well, at least 5-6 years. It's growing fast, and they've been the most valuable stock in Europe during a specific period of time. But basically, what one of the guys mentioned when they presented their solution was that, you know, they could get the technical functionalities from a combination of a SQL Server and whatever they could do of some homemade fuzzy logic, but what they also got was what they call a master data collaboration platform, because we know one of the challenges very often, as we mentioned in the beginning, is to get the business involved in master data, because master data is always something that somebody else is doing. You know, who should take care of master data? Where is the responsibility? And basically, with a platform like Profisee, you have the workflow, you have the event management, you have the processes. So it's very important to see it is something, you know, it facilitates in enabling to spread out the responsibility and the activities involved when you talk about master data, and this is definitely one of the challenges that we see. And one of the questions that we always get, I haven't seen it yet in the question field here, but is how to get started with master data. Should we have all the processes? Should we have a full governance model up and running before we start implementing a tool? And obviously that will be different from organization to organization. But what we also see is that some organizations, they spend some months and years doing workflows and processes and PowerPoints and visual diagrams without basically moving somewhere. So when to get a tool is difficult to say. I mean, when to do it in the process.
So
yeah.
The question, I think the question that came through there was, well, thank you for the compliment. It said a very good presentation, and thank you. My question is about starting off, because getting buy-in can be a challenge with MDM, because it's not a sexy conversation. What can you say is the best way to start off and get buy-in and begin to get value and get people to buy into the values such as what we've presented here? So in response to that, I do agree. It's not the most glamorous of areas to start talking about, but I think the best scenario that I came across was, if any company is thinking about doing data science, Gartner released a statistic that 78% of the time that data scientists spend on projects is actually dedicated towards data cleansing and data alignment. Exactly what we're doing here in the platform. So a typical data scientist will cost in excess of 100,000 euros per annum, probably closer to 150,000 euros per annum. Do you want to spend 78% of their time doing something that we should be getting the business to buy into doing? That's my question. It's my question back to the business is, what are you trying to achieve? And without data alignment, what's the cost? What's the cost to the business on that? There's always a very compelling business issue behind it. It just takes a little bit of effort to get to that business issue. So find the business issue is the way I would say it gets started. Benny?
Yes, indeed. And we have, companies in all different kind of maturity levels, and the question is also when to get started with a solution. Because a fool with a tool is still a fool, but a tool can also like facilitate or enabling a process, support it. But obviously, it doesn't go alone. You need processes and you need governance, but it goes hand in hand. So, well, yeah. Another question is how can we get started? Typical, it's about we run an inspirational workshop. Could be Aiden and I coming for a visit to talk about your organization and your challenges, finding an area or domain or two. Take some specific questions on that and see how we can support that. Sometimes we make a POC, sometimes we make a pilot, depending on the process and how quick you want it done. But it basically always starts with some kind of inspirational workshops where we narrow down an area or two where it will be interesting to work with master data.
And in that workshop, we're always striving to solve some sort of a business problem and present back to the business how we've solved it and how it's easier for us to solve it than to continue on doing what you're doing today.
Yeah, true. If there are no other questions, do you see any, Aiden? Oh, sorry.
One last question: How quick is it to implement such a solution? So typically,
yeah, that's a good question.
You have it there. Typically, projects run for a number of weeks. It's generally between 8 and 12 weeks where we're developing a minimal viable product to solve that business solution. So it would have elements of data governance, reporting, the core product, data import and integration done in it. And we're building a data competency within your business as well. With the support of our implementation partners like Innofactor, we would go and set the standard and set up the rules and the governance workshops that you need. But once ourselves and Innofactor leave the building, it's down to some team in your within your business to actually continue this on. So while our effort will be a number of weeks, typically the 8 to 12 weeks, you're looking at an ongoing process for continual management of data. Because if you're looking at data management now and going, oh my God, this is in a terrible state, we've got poor data quality. If you don't have continual management and continual guidance on it, you'll end up back up in this situation in 2 or 3 years' time if you do a one and done project on it. So while the effort is short up front from Profisee and Innofactor, it's an ongoing process for yourself.
Yeah, it's a journey. It's a never-ending journey. Yes. Yes. But yeah, time is up. There are no further questions. But should you have any questions or a wish to hear or see more, the contact details for both Aiden and myself is here on the screen. So don't hesitate to get back, and yeah, we will be happy to answer questions or show up for an inspirational workshop. We do that quite a lot. It's good fun, and we develop lots of interesting scenarios around master data. So with that, thank you for today.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you for Penny, and thank you everyone for the questions. Bye now.